It's also helpful for us to understand some common errors that we'll see in Python. At this point in the course, we've encountered a lot of these, and this is a good refresher, a good reference point, so that we can maintain these in our memory. So I wanted to take maybe 2 minutes and talk about some common errors, remind us of these, and teach us about these. Syntax error. This is, we've seen this a lot, where the code contains a syntax mistake, such as a missing colon, mismatched parentheses or quotes, or bad indentation. These are things that prevent Python from compiling, prevent it from executing. So syntax errors, we see a lot of those. Name error refers to a name that's not defined in the current scope, such as a misspelled variable. Let's say we create a variable and we misspell it, and then we try to reference that variable later. Well, where we reference that variable, it's not going to see any variable that's been created previously. So if we're trying to print it, for example, so it's going to give us a name error and say, hey, I don't know what that name is. I have no variable for that. Type error, performing an operation on incompatible types, such as addition for a string and an integer. That will throw a type error. Value error, performing an operation on a value that's not of the expected type, such as calling int on a non-numeric string. So if we have a string that's the value of the string is hello, we can't convert that to an integer. That will throw a value error. An index error, when we're using our collections, another way of saying our lists, our tuples, sets, dictionaries, trying to access an index that is out of range of the list or other iterable object. So if our list is length 5, it has 5 items. We're trying to access the 6th item in that list. It will throw an index error because Python sees, hey, there's not that many objects in our list. So this is Python's way of telling us that. Key error, accessing a dictionary key that does not exist. Pretty self-explanatory. If we have a dictionary, we're trying to access a key called, let's say, error code, and we try to access it with the name error, which is wrong. It will throw a key error. Say, I don't have a key named that. Attribute error, trying to access an attribute or method that does not exist on an object. Like if we try to do string dot to upper, to upper, that method on the string class, that will work. But if we say dot to upper with 1p, that's an attribute error. Import error, trying to import a module that does not exist. Indentation error, inconsistent or incorrect indentation. And zero division error. So these are just which is pretty self-explanatory. When the code tries to divide a number by 0, there's actually a specific error for that. So Python has these ways of telling us more specifically than vaguely what our errors are. And these are some very common errors. I think it's helpful to understand them with a view like this, so we can just be more familiar, have them in our memory, and when we see them, it's a little bit more familiar and makes sense that we can better troubleshoot and debug our code that way.